Hi, Noel. I'm really happy to have you on Illuminate Magazine.
Noel G, aka Hector, whatever.
Actor Noel G.
Creative. You got to get creative with it.
So you were mentioning a little bit about Hector. There's that whole joke that you've played Hector like 8 times. But the one I want to talk about right now is how you played Hector in The Fast and the Furious, the original in 2001, and then you were brought back for The Furious 7 in 2015. What was it like to step back into that role 15 years later? And how was it being back with most of the original cast, the vibe? Was the story, did you feel like it fit in the universe well?
First of all, to come back is a blessing. I was like, when they called me, I was like, you sure you got the right number? I'm like, you sure you're trying to get in touch with me or whatever? But always a blessing to be back and be remembered, because that's what we always hope for. And to be back was an awesome thing. I got to thank a lot of the producers on that and Diesel for that. Those were part of the reasons why I came back and was back, and to be in Race Wars. And, the reason why they had me back is because when they came back to Race Wars in part 7, which was actually original in part 1, they thought that it would be cool to see some familiar faces from part 1 at Race Wars in part 7. So like someone was still holding down the ground, you feel me?
Yeah.
So to come back is always a blessing, to be remembered is always a blessing. That's what you always want. I always tell people, treat people how you want to be treated. I don't care if someone's craft service, wardrobe, or the director of the film, treat everybody the same.
Absolutely.
And that's just how I do it. It was cool to come back and be in that universe just to see it again and see how they do it. It's crazy because you would think you're at a real car show. When you're there, it's like, oh, are we filming a movie or like, are we at a real car show? Like you get confused, you know what I'm saying?
I love your mindset of treating everyone equally. When I'm on set, that's my mindset too, because you wouldn't be able to make the film that you're making without every single person that's there. And that's a great thing for actors or other filmmakers or just anyone in general. Just treat people the way you want to be treated. I love your positivity and I love that you keep it real. When I worked with you, that was something I really liked. You were a genuine person.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate it. And I always tell people I can still learn until the day I die. I'm still learning, but one bad attitude on a set can ruin a whole set and change the whole mood. I always tell people just love people and I love people. I'm a people person. I never forget where I came from. But anyways, Love people, love everyone, treat everybody cool. Never forget where you came from. Because at the end of the day, it don't matter what your title is, everyone is a human being.
Everyone was a part of this team. And you've been doing film for a long time. According to IMDb, your first credit was in 1998, and you've been in over 225 films. So I'm kind of curious, how did you get started as an actor? And what inspired you to be in this profession?
So I literally, no joke, no lie, was a right place, right time story. I was homeless at the age of 15 years old. My parents left me at 13. It's a long story, but I'm going to cut out a lot of the fat, get straight to the bone. I was homeless at 15, and one day I met this girl, and she asked me this question. She said, how come you always wear the same clothes, or I never seen where you live? And I remember that day like it was yesterday, and I broke down. I started crying. I told her straight up. I said, I'm homeless. I don't got a place to live. I'm on the streets, and her family took me in.
Oh, wow.
And I was running the streets, running amok. I was just running the streets, hanging out with the wrong crowd. And it was her dream to be an actress and a model. I never thought about that a day in my life. I'm running the streets. I'm 15 years old with my know-it-all street attitude. Couldn't tell me this, couldn't tell me that. Never even thought that someone like me could even be on TV, because I'm just acting a fool in the streets. And so one day she asked me to go to this acting class with her, and I was living with her and her family. I go to this acting class, and I'm not going to lie, I'm just keeping it real once again. When I went to the acting class, I thought everybody was dorks and nerds. So I started like talking smack. And literally I was right place, right time. There was a producer who was scouting talent, comes up to me after the class and says, hey, you want to be in a Taco Bell commercial? And I thought he was on some BS. I thought he was, whatever, but it ended up being real. 2 weeks later, I'm on a set at 15. I did a Taco Bell commercial. First thing I ever did in my life.
Wow.
And it was crazy because when I was 15 at the time, I was ignorant to residual income. I didn't know what residual income was. I thought it was like you have to work to get paid, work to get paid, work to get paid. I
Yeah.
did not know what residual income was. So every time the commercial was showing, I'd get a check. And I thought it was a computer mess up. I didn't know like that's how you really get paid, right? So I'm getting all these checks. And it got a little weird because they ran this commercial for like quite a while. And I went from pretty much nothing to bling bling overnight. And I started
Wow.
getting all the money. So I called up the producer and I said, why I keep on getting paid? And he goes, no, 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 that's right. He goes, that's how you get paid as an actor. I said, what? I said, well, damn, I want to be an actor, because it was like getting the lottery at that age when I had nothing to something, right? He hooked me up with a manager friend of his. I didn't know nothing from nothing. I go in just, like this, whatever, whatever. And the manager guy was like, I like you, man. I'm going to see what I can do for you. And everything he started sending me out on was Gangster 1, Cholo 2, Trigger. I'm like, what? I thought I was here to act. I grew up like this in real life. And that's how the acting got started. So here's how I always end the story. I can honestly say when I first got into this business, it was all about the money because I never made so much money so quickly. I'm just keeping it real. But as I started doing the business, I grew a true passion for it because this is one of the funnest business in the world. You
Right.
never do the same thing. You're always in a different place. You're always meeting new people. I wouldn't give it up for the world. I've
Right.
worked a lot of 9-to-5 jobs. It took me 8 years to get my first film after I got that commercial. I worked at Olive Garden, Denny's, Toys R Us, Burger King, Walmart. Kmart was my longest job. I worked at Kmart on the cash register for 1 year. Been there, done that. 8 years to get my first film. And that's how the acting took off. But long story short, the way I end this story is when I first got into it, I can honestly say, yes, of course it was about the money because I never made so much money so quickly. But as I started doing it, it became a true passion of mine. And I love this business.
Wow. You brought up so many good points in this question. First off, I'm going to touch on that that's an incredible story of how you ended up in the business. And you're right, that really is a right place, right time scenario, but it took you on a completely different path than what you could have ended up. You brought up so many good points, especially about integrity and treating people right. You just have so many great nuggets of wisdom. I think that our viewers are really going to appreciate that. You're a true professional and you're a good person, and that's something I really like about you. And now let's segue a little bit into one of the most famous films you've been in. In 2001, you were starring alongside Denzel Washington and Ethan Hawke in Training Day. Do you remember what your audition for it was like? And was your audition very different than how it ended up in the final film? Was your audition very close to how you ended up performing it, or did it change a lot?
No, the audition was pretty much the same. I love the director, Anton Fuqua, because he gave us range and let us play with the character a little bit. So a lot of it was ad-libbed also as well, but we stuck, of course, to the script. So it wasn't too much different from the audition to being on set. The only thing that was crazy about that set, that was the most crazy, was Denzel actually got sick. And when he got sick, I was only supposed to work on that film 1 week, but I ended up getting 7 weeks out of it because Denzel got sick and they were having scheduling problems because of it. So they had to keep on rescheduling and then scheduling and rescheduling and scheduling. It was a back and forth tug of war. So one of the things that made that scene really difficult to film, and here's a little fun fact for you, is we filmed it every Monday for 7 days straight. That one entire scene. It was filmed on a soundstage. So it was so hard to come back and take off a week later from where we left off. So literally we filmed that whole scene was supposed to be filmed in like 3 or 4 days, but it took us 8 days total to film that scene. And this is the craziest part though. We filmed it Monday, 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 and then Tuesday, and we finished, and then it was done. So imagine filming the scene Monday, that's a wrap, come back a week later. Monday, that's a wrap, come back a week later. It was a difficult deal, but doing that scene was fun. That's an iconic movie. That's definitely in the gangster collection. That's right there with the Scarfaces and the Goodfellas and the Bronx Tales. So be a part of that was, of course, a lifetime achievement, I guess you can say, or something so wonderful and spectacular to be a part of that film. And that's actually the film where Denzel won his Oscar So to be a part of that also as well is what made it so great. For him to win it for that film, heck yeah, I'll take that too. But
Right?
he should have won it for Hurricane or all these other movies he did
Yeah.
before that. But hey, I'll take the movie that he finally won it in. So why not?
You're technically in an Oscar-winning movie. That's
That's why I'm like, I'll take that.
Yeah.
I'm good. But I just want to give Denzel his props and say he should have won it way before.
Right. He's very talented. And you actually ended up reprising that role in the Training Day series. And I'm a little curious about that because that's a different cast. It's a different medium. You're going from film to TV. How was it transitioning into that? Did it have a similar vibe? Was it different?
It was a lot different, to be honest with you, because they switched a lot up.
Right.
Bill Paxton, man, rest in peace. That guy is a wonderful actor. He became a great friend on set. A blessing that I got to work with him before he left. And it was funny. I actually did a movie with his son right after.
Wow.
So that was kind of hard. And long story short, but that show was just so unfortunate because Bill Paxton passed away, rest in peace. That is what messed up the whole show and why it didn't go any further. But yeah, it was real different because, they were trying to make it a television show, which they did. But, everything was kind of switched around. Me and I believe Tom Berenger were the only original characters from Training Day who came back to the show. So that was cool also as well to be remembered. But, it's unfortunate that the show didn't get to do better than what it was already doing because Bill Paxton passed. Of course, they couldn't move on. That was kind of a touchy subject, because it was so awesome to be doing the show. But then that happens coming out of left field, and that did a whole turnaround for us. So they just wanted to stop everything out of respect, kind of put it in the back burner and see what they do from there.
I can imagine that would be really hard. And when I saw that you were in, Training Day, 2 different versions, that must be really interesting as an actor to be in both because there's so many projects where that isn't the case.
Yeah, I mean, it is, it's, again, being remembered is always a blessing. So that's the hope until I die, is that I can just stay busy and, keep on moving forward.
And you've been in so many TV shows, so many movies. Some of the TV shows that you've been in were Fresh Off the Boat, Days of Our Lives, Mentalist, The Walking Dead, and then countless films. Do you have a particular moment on set that stuck with you? One set story that has really affected you and everything else you do?
One thing I learned, it was funny. It was me fresh in the game. This was literally at the starting of my career. I got a big part in X-Files, and I get shot, and I die or whatever. But I wanted to be the tough guy. So what ends up happening is I get shot and I fall on my knees, and one of the stunt guys comes over and he says, hey, you want some knee pads because you're falling pretty hard. And I was like, no, I'm cool, man. I'm tough. I got this. And, again, I'm fresh in the game. I was very young. You live and learn. I didn't know any better. And I wanted to be the tough guy to show, I can handle this. I can do this. I got this. So, we do the scene again. I had the stunt guy respectfully ask me at least 6 or 7 times, do you want knee pads? And I said no each and every single time. By the end of that shoot, I had 6 knees. I had 3 knees on each leg. I was bruised up, hurt, and battered like I've never been before. I couldn't even walk. And it was all because I was young, immature, didn't know any better, and wanted to really I thought I gotta put my all into this to keep on getting hired for such a great scene and all these different things, right? And what I learned is on set, always listen first and foremost to the people above you who tell you something because they know better. Number 2, you never have to hurt yourself on the set. That's why we have makeup people and stunt people and people there to coordinate things so you can be as safe as possible.
Yeah.
And that's where true acting comes in, where if you have to be raped or, kicked or punched or shot, your acting should bring that alive. There's a way to coordinate certain things to where it's like a dance and a movement where it looks like it was so brutal, but yet everything was so coordinated because you knew every move, what was coming, to make it look and feel so real. So that was one thing that I learned on set. So that always stuck with me to this day. And in a lot of my movies, I get shot and I get killed. You know what I'm saying? So ever since that, I was like, nah, pad me up. Let's do it right. Let's coordinate. Let's rehearse and always be safe. So that was one of my biggest lessons in the game. Now I got thousands of stories like that, but that was one of my biggest ones that I always share with people. You don't have to, you know, a lot of actors think like, oh man, like here's the extreme example so you get it. You don't got to cut off your left arm to be an actor in a movie because the next movie might require both arms. Just to give you one small example, there's just a tiny itty bitty one. I had a friend of mine who went out for Pirates of the Caribbean and he didn't know any better. Again, you live and learn and you don't know until you know. You're never stupid and no one's ever ignorant until they know. Once you know and you keep on doing it, then you're either ignorant or stupid. But you're not stupid until you know first, right? Would you agree with that? So I had a friend of mine where he went out for Pirates of the Caribbean Part 3, came in homeless looking and like long beard and scruffy face. They loved him. They loved him. They called him back and said, we want to see you the next day. The next day he comes back shaved and in a suit because he didn't know any better. He thought it was a real job interview at like Target or something like that. So he came all clean cut in a suit and he came trying to impress because he thought, but he didn't know any better. Why did you shave and why did you do all? We liked you like that because you look like a dirty, scruffy pirate. And that's what we wanted and he lost the job because of that.
You have your own production company called Entangled Entertainment, and you've produced a few of your own projects. I'm curious how you started producing and what is the transition from acting to producing been like? You're still primarily an actor, but it is a big jump. Do you have a favorite film that you've made as a producer?
So, you know, your life is a journey. You never know where it's going to take you. You get into one thing and then you start seeing other things. And then you're like, oh, wow, like I could do this, I could do that. And that's exactly what happened. So again, I was right place, right time, become an actor, start working on movies. And I'm like, oh, wow, like I could produce, I could direct. I got story ideas of my own that I would like to, you know, flush out. And so that's kind of the journey that I'm on right now. You know, being in the business of acting, it's opened up my eyes to other things that I didn't know I would want to try that. I want to try this. So right now, we've done 2 movies, Ditch Party, which has a positive message. That's about a high school shooting. And long story short, the message in that movie is never insult someone publicly because you never know who might want revenge privately. That's why a lot of high school shootouts were happening because kids were getting insulted and put down. And then they were forget my life, but forget your life as well. I take people with me. So I made a movie that came against that, was trying to open up eyes and open up hearts to stop high school shootings. So that was my first movie. And then the second movie was just a straight up horror movie. It had nothing to do with nothing. We just went for it, did it. It is what it was. And we were just hoping for the best on that one. No message in that at all. That was just a straight movie for pure entertainment. We're making movies that now are sticking to the purpose, because one thing that I learned in life is if you give yourself a vision statement and you stick to that vision statement of what your purpose is that you want done, you will always succeed, because no matter what, you're stuck to the source. And the reason why my movies didn't do so great is because I did not stick to the vision statements, which means I got out of alignment with God. And this is according to my belief. I never pressed my belief upon anyone else, to each their own, no judgment. Your belief is what you believe and I respect it. Your belief is what you believe and I respect it. I'm talking about my own belief. I got out of alignment with God. And when you get out of alignment with God, it can take you on the journey that you're not supposed to be on. And that's the reason why I feel like my movies weren't successful. So now I'm sticking on the alignment that God has put me on, sticking with the vision that was given to me by him, to stick on that journey and that journey only, to do what's right according to him, by him, with him. So now we're making a documentary, and I believe this documentary is going to be successful for the fact that this is something that has to do with my company, which is Entangled Entertainment. And my vision statement is to continuously and abundantly manifest the kingdom of God throughout the world through TV and film for Jesus Christ. And if you know your vision statement and you know what you're sticking to, that will always, always make your purpose succeed, because you know what your purpose is. And that's why a lot of people don't know their identity, because they don't know what their purpose is in life. And you know what gives you peace of mind is being in your purpose. When you're in your purpose, you have peace of mind. So I just say that anybody can do it according to what their purpose is. The reason why a lot of people are all over the place and don't have peace of mind is because they're living out of their purpose. They're doing everything else except what God told them to do. And so, that's why I tell people, live according to your purpose, fight for what you believe in. And that's what will always give you peace of mind, give you a right heart, right mind, and you'll always be successful. Whether it takes 1 year or 10 years, you'll get there.
I love that. And I think that a lot of people struggle with that too, because you have these ideas, these goals in mind, and you're worried, if I don't hit this in this year, that it's never going to happen, or I failed if I didn't hit it within like 1 to 2 years, and it takes a longer time. But I think that it's really good that you're out there spreading that message, and that you are aligning with your purpose, and that you are telling people that this is what I'm doing. This is my purpose. This is my company's purpose. And that's what I'm going to do with it and with my platform. The next thing I was going to ask you is there a character type or a genre that you haven't yet done, but that you would really love to in the future?
I admire actors who are like chameleons, actors like Joe Pesci, who could play this and that, from My Cousin Vinny to Goodfellas, or Robert De Niro and all the greats, Tom Hanks, Leonardo DiCaprio's doing some amazing stuff right now, Will Smith. So of course I want to, and that's what acting's all about, is when you become someone else. So I would love to play different roles. And that's another reason why I'm producing, is to show myself in a different limelight from what I'm always getting casted as. So I always tell people, if no one's going to give you the opportunity, then give the opportunity to yourself, somehow, some way, even if you make a short film, or, now with streaming services that we have out here where everyone can self-stream, there's no reason why you can't shine in a different light and show people, hey, I can do this, I can do this, I can do that. So I always tell people, I admire actors like that. So I want to be a chameleon actor. Don't get it twisted. I'll always play the bad guy. I love playing the bad guy. But I just did a big movie with Kate Bosworth, Ving Rhames, and Ryan Phillippe. It was called Locksmith. And I played a police officer. I played a detective in that movie. So it was a different type of role. So I'm starting to branch out a little bit more and do some different things. But of course, I want to play different roles and do different things, because those are the actors that I admire, ones who can go from A, B to C to D. So
like, I can see you in multiple other types. Like, I could see you playing a doctor, a lawyer. I think it would be really cool to see you try a variety. I think
in time. That's how I say it. In time. You got to be patient. You know what I mean? So I've been in the business 32 years. I could wait another few years. It's all good.
You're doing amazing. And speaking of that, because you have so many films right now in post-production, I don't know how many I saw that are in post-production alone, but here's just a few. You were in Corsicana. My friend Robert Johnson produced that one. And also you have other films like Bermuda Island, which we worked on together. And you have a film called Bridge to Somewhere. And then you have multiple other movies that are in pre-production, like Riptide, Q, and The Panic. Are there any of these that you want to talk a little bit about, any upcoming projects that you want to, give us a little scoop on if you can?
I just gave you one. That movie that I mentioned where I play a detective is called Locksmith. But I've been very blessed. I've been very blessed to stay busy, and that's something that I'm very thankful for. I got a movie coming out with John Travolta called Paradise City. Another one with Robert De Niro and the Amigos called Watch Me in the River. Another one with Mickey Rourke called Replica. I'm coming back to the Mayans. So I've been very blessed to stay busy. A lot more stuff coming out. This documentary, I'm working on some other things. Some stuff that's pending, but until it's locked in, I don't like to say anything yet. I always say, until you sign a contract, talk your talk. But long story short, I've been very blessed and got a lot of things popping off. Keep up with me on my Instagram, actor Noel G. Keep up with me there. If you guys are really interested in what's going on in my life, on my side of town, keep up with me on my Instagram. I'm very personable on there, and that's what's up.
This was so amazing getting to talk to you and learn a little bit more about your story. And also, getting to hear your perspective on the industry, on acting, and on life too. This has been a real honor. So thank you so much for being on Illuminate Magazine.
It's all love. You know, my last words that I always tell people is, I love you, God loves you. And I always say, and again, to each their own, no judgment. I never push my belief upon anyone else. But the message that I do like to share and spread is, if you put God first in your life, everything else will work itself out. So I say that very humbly. And I always wish everybody the best. I want to see your dreams become a reality, like my dream has become a reality. If me, some kid from the streets, did it, you can definitely do it.
Yes.
So love you guys. Thank you guys for watching. Thank you for having me on and taking the time to interview me and listen. And you're a very good interviewer. And what I love about you is you're a very good listener. You know, and I'll give this one last nugget and I'm done. I always tell people, you know, one of the best things in life that I've learned is to listen. You know what you do when you listen to someone talk? You bought yourself time to be heard when it's your turn to speak. So I always tell people, listen to people. And that's one of the best things that you can receive in life. Love you guys.
Love you. Thank you.